So I'm going to do my startup with a bit of music.
Willy Wonka, the amazing chocolatier. Willy Wonka, everybody give a cheer.
Play. To play is a fundamental activity in the creative design process. In order to create holistic design solutions, a designer must be given the opportunity to play. And the thing is, my strongest tool has always been my ability to use my intuition. And my intuition is always following me when I do things and gives me the ability to gain inspiration from a lot of different medias. And obviously, this guy, you just heard the song before. Do you know Willy Wonka? Come on, do you know Willy Wonka? Oh, fantastic. That's great. You're actually alive. So this gentleman said in 1964, and it's still true today, invention, my dear friends, is 93% perspiration, 6% electricity, 4% evaporation, and 2% butterscotch ripple. You have to laugh now, come on. Nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Johannes Torpe, and it's, as everyone said today, it's a great pleasure to be here today. And it actually really is a great pleasure, because for me, as a Scandinavian designer, it's with a very special relationship to Hong Kong and to China. To be a Business of Design Week is something truly special, because this is, in my opinion, the new, we can say mecca, the holy grail of design is going on right here in Hong Kong. Singapore is doing a good job as well, but it's a little bit far away from mainland China. And I think in China there is a lot of great designers working there. It's just a question of getting the opportunity to prove it. And that's why already in '92, I took a really conventional holiday to go to China. It took me 2 months to get the visa, and it was highly complicated. But when I arrived in Beijing, I did it for curiosity. And when I arrived 7 years ago, again in Beijing, it was for the same reason. For Guangxi, also called Guanghai. Is that right? If you're in Hong Kong. Is it? I can't hear you. That's good. That's good. You're alive. Are you okay? You didn't get tranquilized or anything, did you? Good. Fantastic. So I know you're there. So a guy called Danny, he called me. And the reason why he was called Danny, because it shows a name was easy to understand. Hi, my name is Danny. So he called me up and said, hi, this is Danny. I would like to do a very luxury restaurant in Beijing. Very luxury. I was like, okay, Danny. Luxury restaurant. I can help you doing a luxury restaurant, of course. But it will be in a couple of months. And he kept on calling me. And in the end, I jumped on a flight. I flew there, and I met this guy. And it was quite interesting, because I didn't understand what Guangxi is. I was like, what is this Guangxi? People, oh, you go to China. Guangxi. I was like, Guangxi? Is that a drink, or is it something you eat? I didn't really know. But when I arrived there, I understood exactly what it was about. So we went straight to one of his restaurants in a private room. And those of you who are not Asian here will not know what I understand unless you have been out eating with Chinese people. That you go into a room and you can drink and you can eat and you can burp and you can do many things then, play music and smoke cigarettes loudly and like this, and watch Chinese television very loudly about something I wouldn't understand. And the interesting part here is that I noticed that in this room, you have a very special feeling. And this is, actually where you connect with each other. So when I had to do this first restaurant design in China, this is 7 years ago, I also asked them, so what reference do you have for this design? And they said, don't worry, everything is possible in China. You just do whatever you want. Mind you, if anyone tells you that in the future, you shouldn't trust it entirely. Because it depends really how you do your design. Because what I did, of course, is something like this. Because I thought, okay, my interpretation of a private room should be a cocoon, like a reborn thing. And of course, this looks great. But the difficult part about this is actually to design it, because this is industrial design at large. I mean, very large, like 3.5 meter and 4.5 meter in diameter, fiberglass domes made in Shanghai with a big machine, and it was just really, really difficult to make it. But at the same time, it gave people a really, special feeling of getting in there. And also, when you walk to these cocoons, it was the same. So I'm not really here to actually talk about this particular project, but it was just to say where Guangxi is going on is in the private room. And where I get the best experiences with my Chinese friends is in the private dining room, where you really can go crazy, shots, baijiu, hot pot, all these kind of things that we really enjoy as Westerners. Even then, I'm not really Chinese, if you look at my appearance, I'm more like transparent. So Guangxi, Guanghai, also gave me other opportunities. For instance, to transform this beautiful piece of land in Hainan province. You will know, Hainan, right? Beautiful island with a nice area called Sanya. And in Sanya, in particular, it can be beautiful out of the season, meaning when all the Chinese people go there to have holiday, together with the Russians, it's kind of hectic. Chinese New Year, it's like around, I was there once, and on the beach, everybody had these firecrackers. So you try to have I enjoy the sun. It's like, yeah, we have a party. So if you go there, it has to be, off-season to do this. So now I'm a Danish designer. I have a very nice hill in a beautiful island. And my job is to design a villa. Beautiful villa. What would you do as the first thing if you had this opportunity? What would you design? What would you design? Would you design the villa? I would design the sunbed, of course. Because as a Scandinavian designer, you think about, we have to do a villa. Furniture, it's the first thing. And then you design a chair afterwards, and a table, and other kind of accessories. Completely unnecessary for the villa before it's built. I didn't even do a drawing of the villa before that. And then, finally, I design, of course, the bathtub. Because the bathtub is really, really important as well for this one. And this now, you can see the way I'm going now in this speech is again, Guangxi. And also the way to approach it in a holistic way. So I said, okay, we need a really, really nice bathtub for these villas. Again, without knowing what the villa should look like. So I went to Xiamen, and I met this very nice man called Mr. Gan. And Mr. Gan, he's very experienced and loves stone. Because, in Fujian province, have you been to Xiamen, any of you? Yeah, Xiamen is a beautiful place. Beautiful food, like everywhere here. But particularly there, because also there's a connection with Taiwan. So it's very soft. But on the other side, they have hearts of stone, all of them, because it's also the stone place of China. So I was very fascinated by going there. And I said to this guy, Mr. Gan, I've drawn a beautiful bathtub. Can you manufacture this for me in marble? And he was like, marble? Marble is terrible. It's very cheap. Not luxury, not luxury. No, we design bathtub in onyx, pure onyx. And for those of you who knows onyx, it's very special in Chinese culture. It can cure nightmares and visions, and it can give you like prosperity and power to your home. So why not to do a bathtub in onyx? The only problem is like $250,000 for the bathtub, which is, not a problem, because we actually produced 6 of those bathtubs to test it out, and they were sold in one day. And one guy, he bought 3. What the fuck do you do with 3 bathtubs? Anyway, a triple bath. Maybe 2 wives, 3 wives, or 2 wives, and you can have one in the middle, and you can lie against each other like this. I would do that for sure if I had 2 wives, but unfortunately, I'm not of that religion. I'm Irish, you see, and Danish. We come back to the Irish part. But he said to me, very important, Your Highness. Yeah, by the way, so the thing is here, you understand, my name, Johannes. Can you pronounce Johannes? Try and say it. Yeah, that's nice. So some people have a very difficult time doing this. Some people actually say, Your Highness. So to me, of course, it's something I enjoy quite. This morning in the hotel, for instance, I walked up there, and it's a very nice, in the upper house, very nice hotel. I walk in my suit like this, and the waiter says to me, "Good morning, Johannes." I was like, "Good morning. Can you do me a double cappuccino, please?" And this Johannes thing is something that's been going on since I worked a lot in Taiwan for Skype many years ago. And that was also, "Good morning, Johannes." Oh. So this is another thing. But he said, "Johannes, I have a small building in Shanghai, and I would like to do a very, very luxury onyx showroom." And of course, when a guy from Fujian says small, it means pretty big. I mean, like 5,000 square meter at the Bund kind of showroom, old wreck of a building that we have to transform. And of course, I said, "Yeah, we'll do that. I will add a lot of Scandinavian design in here." And what you will see here is quite, two things put together in a funny way. Because if you look at this massive 2 meter and 60 Buddha figurine, it's humongous. White onyx, 10 million RMB kind of thing, together with these vases and other things. And then you can see, oh, there's a Scandinavian guy in here. There's some shapes which are not particular Chinese. And also, there's a lot of lighting effects and so on. And if you take the next one here as well, you can see that definitely it is the minimalist who's done the retail space, and it's the Chinese who's done all the figurines. And this is interesting, because it actually works very well. So the Chinese people with pocket full of gold, you know how much onyx is, right? It's fucking expensive. I wanted to buy one of those bathtubs, but $250,000 is pretty steep. But the power of the material is fantastic. So right now we are doing a collection of these things in onyx actually to fit more of a European taste, or let's say of a more younger generation of Chinese taste. And by working in this material, I actually understand the power of it, because it is so rare and there's so little of it. So when you get the opportunity to work, to make a bathtub out of onyx, it's just insane. So this whole scenario was very interesting and a great test for me. And also the way that we used it for building materials, to do like a track system that shows the onyx slabs around with different lighting and so on. So it's a quite interesting project to do this. And obviously now you would say, what about the villas, right? So we did design the villas, and this is one of them. Of course, this is a visual preference of the actual site, and it's not built yet, but it will be in the future. And I can guarantee you, out of the forecast of the prices of those villas, that the price of the bathtub is a drop in the swimming pool, really seriously. So that's quite interesting for this one. So, designers always wait for a manufacturer. How many of you is designers here today? Is that it? How many of you are students who's becoming designers here today? So the rest of you, what are you doing here? So if there's no designers, what do you do? Are you business people? All arms up for the business people. 3, my God. And the rest of you? Yeah, so anyway, a designer always wants to have a manufacturer come and say, "You're a genius. I will manufacture your chair. We're going to sell 1 billion of them, and I'm going to pay you 80% of royalties." However, this is not reality. Reality is more like 2%, and we'll sell 500 or 5,000 if we're really lucky. And that's why I think Business of Design Week is a really interesting theme to take up in a design environment, because the business of the design is just as important as the design itself. And I will show you an example of this, because you have to push yourself all the time towards making a business out of the design as a designer. And we have done many collaborations with companies, and we like to do co-branding. And one of them we have done with is an American company called Hayworth, if you know this one. Do you know Hayworth? Yeah, it's a big American company. You know what their address in Michigan is? 1 Hayward Drive. So it's a real American company. And we had this opportunity of doing the co-branding with our name and their name together on the products. And we've done a whole range of products. And this first one here is interesting because it's a laptop table. It's $200 US, which is fairly cheap. Is you know, very sustainable, made in Shanghai, actually. And this company understands China because they actually did Asia Pacific department very, very early in the company and have a great market share here. So that's great. But what we do when we do a co-branding like this is not just to, you know, deliver the design and say, I'm the designer, here's the design, goodbye, I'm out of here. And let the marketeers do the rest. No, 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 no. I want control. You know that? Control. I have a small ego, but I would like control anyway. And control over your own product is something you really rarely get the opportunity to have. So with this one, we had the opportunity also to get this on Apple Store. And this was like, if Apple as a giraffe, and it is kind of a giraffe, you know, they make these glass devices, and it's a giraffe because they eat from the treetops, like, you know what I mean? You know, giraffe, Africa. Do you have giraffes in Hong Kong? So you have some tall people here, but they're probably from Germany. And then you have the elephants, and the elephant is Hayworth. So to get those two to speak to each other, I had to be a Twitter. So I have to fly between them and like, hey, would you take our table? And in the end, Apple did like this. Hello, elephant, we will take the table on Apple Store. And we're like, yeah, Twitter, like this. And so when you buy your next Apple laptop, you can actually, you know, click in and you can say more RAM, hard drive, and so on, and a laptop table, which is a very pleasant surprise, actually. So this is very lucky for us. But when we do this, you know, normally a company like Hayworth would put this picture up, put a nice lady in a business suit with a laptop, and there would be a guy like me dressed like this, maybe a little less talkative, with a pen pointing like this, and you have like a stock photo, you know. And this would be the advertising for this. But we don't do this. We, of course, take it to the challenge of putting the furniture into a new environment and actually to use a more fresh approach to it. For instance, this one or this one here, you know, you can work anywhere, anytime. It's actually sneaked in to a laboratory in Copenhagen and took the picture at nighttime. Don't tell Hayworth. You'll get a lawsuit. Or this one from Copenhagen Metro. And what we've done also when we work with this kind of thing is to do small films. And Hayworth is a big sponsor of sporting events. And they did a particular one last year for Shanghai Open, for the tennis tournament, where we did this small movie, mostly for fun. Actually, the last shot was shot before the others because his arm fell off. You know, it's a pretty heavy table to this one. So it's simply to show you the way that we work with this one. Because I think the business part is very important. So as a designer, you have to take responsibility about marketing your product as well. Get it to market. It's a very, very important lesson, I think, for me as well. So holistic design, that's what my company do and I do as well. And it depends how you see holistic. I mean, it pretty much lies in the word of it. But if you do environmental design, if you do branded space, as we call it, interior design, whatever you want to call it, you always gain inspiration from somewhere. And one of my greatest point of inspiration is, of course, this beautiful movie from 1968. Can you believe that? 68. Most of you probably know this movie. It's a fantastic movie. It's been very, very inspiring to me all the way through. And when I was younger, much younger, it's 15 years ago, so I was approximately 11 at the time. You have to laugh now, much louder than that. Nice, nice, thank you. I didn't really care about government codes or fire codes or anything, so I did a nightclub in Copenhagen. That was the one called NASA, Nice and Safe Attitude. And when you look at this one, you will know why it's called NASA. And you will know how much I've been stealing from A Space Odyssey. Because I actually like to steal. I think it's okay. I'm not educated. I can steal things. It's okay to steal a little bit. As long as you don't loot people, you can steal people's ideas and say, yes, I stole it. What's your problem? It's fine. See, no problem at all. No, it's not the same. It's just inspiration stealing kind of thing. So this one, it was very much in the detail. And that time, I had the fireman coming in, and he was like, with a big mustache, I'm the fire inspector. He walked in, and he was like, what is the walls made of here? Would you like an American beer? Yes, as a matter of fact, I would like. So he didn't actually put the walls on fire. And I'm glad he didn't, because it was all latex. Highly flammable. But it looked really great. And sometimes as a designer, you forget this a little bit. Obviously now, 15 years later, I would never be able to do this because it would be illegal. At the same time, this place actually existed for 14 years, which is quite remarkable for a nightclub. 14 years in a nightclub, all white. I mean, how stupid are you if you do a white nightclub, by the way? People come in and they have a strawberry margarita like in the ceiling, and it's just all destroyed, and you're like, no, my design. But after 14 years, it didn't really matter, because when people get in there, they're so intoxicated already, so they can't even hear and say, oh, it's white, or it's brown, boobs. So it kind of takes people out of the context all the way through. But already at this time, I had this thing for technology. If you look up here to a small, very small luxury LED screens in the mirrors showing space movies from NASA. Not Nice and Safe Attitude, but the other agency. So already at that time, it was interesting to do this. But I think also when we talk about stealing or having ideas from other people, I think one of the great masters of interior design, of design in general, one of my really big heroes is, of course, Philip Stark. Many have many opinions about him, but he's also a master of disguise in many ways. And if you look at this picture here, you have the last scene from A Space Odyssey. How many of you have actually watched The Space Odyssey in here? And the rest of you would go straight out and buy a DVD box set after this, okay? Because you have to watch it. It's a fantastic movie. Also good to sleep to, but you can watch it again and again. But the top picture is from the last scene of the movie, and this is from Stark's bar in Hudson Hotel in New York. And you can see how much inspiration is given from that scene of a movie from '68 till, I think, 1990. And that's a really clear thing that is okay to steal if you do something truly great. And I think that's a master for it. So now the next thing is, obviously you can see this is me. You can't? It's not that blurry, I think. But the guy in the back, who is that? This is my little brother. Unfortunately, he's much taller than I am, because his mother was from Germany. And in Germany, they always, in Denmark, we have like very potatoes and gravy and some meat. In Germany, they have sausage. So Rune, his name is Rune. Rune, today the dinner will be sausage, lots of sausage. So he grew very tall. And so that's why we have to take the picture like this, so I'm in the foreground, and not pretending to be lower, like a movie star, like Johannes. So the thing is, we have the same father. He's from Ireland. You know Irish people, do you? Yeah. It's the people who hang out in bars and scream most of the time, or wear green clothing and so on. So when our father, he went to Copenhagen, to Denmark, the only thing he brought was a guitar. And women, you have to be aware, if you see an Irishman with a guitar, you really have to protect yourself. Because he went to my mother and he just did like this. Bring! She was pregnant. And the same, my brother's mother was the same. Bring! Pregnant. My mother's brother, one moment, my mother's brother. No, I didn't say that. Sorry about that. He didn't do that, of course. He didn't play the guitar there. But on my little sister's mother, he also did it. And probably with many other women as well, we don't know about. And this is the Irish thing. They do this kind of things. And one day I thought, oh, I'm half Irish, and I play drums. So I tried to do it with my drum kit. It's pretty difficult. You have to move all the things. The hi-hat is like, and before you sit down, she's gone. No, the guitar is much better, I can guarantee you. Use a guitar if you have to do it. So, no, what we do as well is, apart from our design companies, is that we do music, a lot of music. And I will not bore you too much with the music, but we have, to understand where I come from, you have to understand that music is half of the picture. And very important in all the work I do, and very important with the companies I work with as well, which I will enlighten you with in one moment. I'll just play one piece of music for you, and it's okay to dance. No. Now we cannot have crack cocaine from the stage, or champagne, or anything, but you can still stand up and dance. So here you are.
Easy no, no need to go down. Rock that run, this how we frown. When you run, come around, cause now you're the talk of the town, yeah. When you run, come around, cause now you're the talk of the town, yeah. When you run, come around, cause now you're the talk of the town, yeah. When you run, come around, cause now you're the talk of the town, yeah.
So obviously this was one of our biggest tracks, sold 10 million records, and it's been great and really fun. But I'm grown up now, really. So I have to just do design. So boring. Draw things, talk to people, or I have to draw something new. No, honestly speaking, what I think is the importance about this is the unique combination of music and design has given me the opportunity to become the first ever creative director of a Danish brand called Bang & Olufsen, which Mr. Tu Mantoni, right down here on the first row, good afternoon, sir, is the CEO for. And I was very lucky to be invited to become a part of this brand and help this brand, move forward by all means. And I had my first experience with Bang & Olufsen. We called it the Bang & Olufsen experience. So you go to a guy in a bar and normally, or girl, you say, hey, do you want a drink? You can do that. Or you can go, hey, have you had your first Bang & Olufsen experience? Like this. So my first Bang & Olufsen experience was when I was only 7 years old. My cousin, his mother was a little bit more rich than my hippie parents. So they, of course, bought him a beautiful Bang & Olufsen stereo system, the Beomaster 1900. And I still remember I was like approximately this tall. How tall are 7-year-olds? Like this? Two? A bit like that. Okay, so I was approximately this tall. And we went down to the living room for dinner, and we're sitting there, and 7 years old, restless, thinking about that Bang & Olufsen sound system upstairs in his room. So I sneaked out, like, I walked up there, and it was just there. It was on a shelf like this, and it was like a holy grail. That's like, whoa! I walked toward, Bang & Olufsen system. I walked over there, and my finger could just touch the surface of it. I'm just going to place the nice surface of the aluminum. So, there was like a tension, like electrified tension in this one, and I did like this, and I went up, there's a recess, there's a hole down, it was Radio 3. And all of a sudden it was like loud Danish music playing, and my cousin coming up like, what are you doing? Don't touch my stereo system! And I was pulled out by the ear. So even then, despite I was pulled out by the ear, I still had the Bang & Olufsen experience in me. And, this is a pretty famous brand, and if you look at this next advertising from years back, I had the same amazement as those gentlemen here. I think they're from Japan. Right? I mean, Chinese people don't use a camera like that. See the way he's like pointing it, and I was like, Bang & Olufsen. Oh. So they took pictures of this, and this is a great example. And this is actually, Radio 3 is that button right there. I wrote it. Like that, and this experience at that time, nobody did something as sleek, as minimalistic, as well crafted as Bang & Olufsen, and most others did something looking like this. It's like a really advanced remote for something. I'm not really sure, a big one. If I should be, man-chauvinistic, it could be for a woman, but I don't think it is. It's a little bit too many buttons to actually operate this. So this was the normal thing at that time. And now everything is just controlled from this glass device. And I don't really, it's not really special anymore because everyone has one. I think what is really special is when you get into, sound system and products. Oh, sorry about this. I dropped a slide. No, I'm sorry about this. So, I have a great point now. When I was told first time to go to Struer and see the factory, I thought, oh, I'm going to go to a boring factory with boring things and boring people. And I went up here and I saw something really fantastic. And in my imagination when I was a kid, I think this is how I imagine it. Like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. No, because nobody else would actually do like a chocolate fountain like this and have an invention room. And actually in Bang & Olufsen it's almost like this. The difference is that people are not that well groomed. They're more like, from Jutland in Denmark with a big beard and thinking very deep about things. And this is something very powerful of the brand because you don't have this synergy in many other brands as you have in Bang & Olufsen, which I find very, very fascinating. You can walk outside afterwards here. We have a beautiful exhibition called Sound Matters outside, where you can see some of the products and experience what Bang & Olufsen can do with sound. And my opportunity, together with Tu, is to really create something very exciting the next coming years and do new retail designs and do new experiences within the product as well. So this is something I really look forward to do. Good. So, I think an important thing is that also, as a designer, I talked about Bang & Olufsen now, but also as a designer, not only working for Bang & Olufsen, my passion is also food. I mean, and being in Asia, you can only love Asian food. It's absolutely fantastic. And one of my favorite kitchens is Citroën Kitchen. Very spicy. It's very, very spicy. I often have your colleagues from Copenhagen coming in, and every time, despite their stomach is like exploding the day after, they're all like, so what do you prefer to eat tonight? Citroën food. And like next day, oh, I know it's so bad. But still, the taste of this stuff is fantastic. And we have the opportunity to design a new restaurant in Taiwan and to understand the whole holistic approach to this kind of design as well. We did it a bit different because what I like to do, as I am a control freak of nature, I would like to control all elements of my design. I would like to design this chair, the lamp, the table, the glass, the sofa, the napkin, all of it, because that's a part of the design universe you create. But also in this circumstance, to do the roof, as you can see, it is a Chinese painting. But actually it is painted by Danish artists in Copenhagen, because I thought if you have Chinese painters do a Chinese painting, it will be a Chinese painting. So if you have Danish painters doing a Chinese painting, what will it be? So when you walk into the restaurant and all the guests from Taiwan, they're going, that's not a Chinese painting, they say. And they're right, it's a Danish painting, but our interpretation of the Chinese painting, which makes it pretty powerful. So it's like 4.5 meter ceiling, and this enormous 1,000 square meter hand painting in the ceiling. And we also did other things in this restaurant, to use of materials in a very powerful way, and to use, in all really great restaurants, you have to have a water element to get like the feng shui of the place working in the right way and to have the right flow of energy, which is something I do believe in very much, also if you think about mindfulness. So to challenge this a little bit, we, instead of having a water element, we actually installed a 35 meter long LED screen, which is transparent to show the water element and to have the fire element behind, because behind this screen is the kitchen, and you can see it on this one illustration. This was the visual we did, 5 months before the place opened, and the one coming here is actually the actual footage from inside the restaurant, where you can see the chefs is working, it's daytime, but they're working behind the screen. And in nighttime, it's kind of magical to sit there, because it's like, you have fire behind, and you have this waterfall coming down. It is actually, and this is some of the things I think you can do as a design approach, that you actually give it a little bit extra dimension, take it out of the ordinary, because the design is quite ordinary in the sense of it's a chair, and you sit there, but it's not really an eatery, because in Europe we have eateries, how many people can we stuff in this room? I mean, it's almost like sitting here and eating, it's like together. But in Asia, you have to have space around you. And I think this is really important when you do restaurant designs as well, to think about it has to be a mindful experience all the way through. So we actually designed quite a lot of food concept, because I like food. And one of the most weird commissions ever was to design a cake. So, if you're a designer, why not design a cake? You can design clothing and furniture and products and interior and so on. But to design a cake is actually quite difficult, I can tell you, because the way we taste, we do with the eyes as well. It's not only the mouth. And the way we taste also, depending on which area of the world we have, is if it's America, you taste just like, I just need a big cupcake because I'm really hungry. You eat that cupcake. But in Asia, you don't eat like that. You eat by texture. If you think about how many Chinese people, a beautiful Chinese woman can take like a chicken wing, put it into her mouth like this, and out comes the bone. That's amazing. I always say, how do you do that? I mean, I tried once, but it goes wrong all the time. It goes up to my nose instead, come out the wrong way, or the ear. But to do a cupcake is something really particular, because if you have to go for the taste of Asia, you have to go much more in the direction of texture. Texture. I actually tried to say it. And if you do it for Europe, it has to be less texturized and more sweet. And for America, it just has to be sweet, just sugar, like this. That's enough. But and the thing is, the look of the cake is beautiful. Already there, it starts the endorphins in your brain. It's like, it pops inside your head. I want to eat this cake very much. To this approach as well, you have to do the environment around it to be as beautified as possible. So to do a minimalistic cake shop is quite difficult, because most people say a cupcake, it should be a pink paradise with and girly thing and so on and so on. I completely disagree. I think it has to be a clean environment where you can choose your cake and you can bring it with you home, or you can have it for your wedding, or you could take it out of the box like this, because the out-of-the-box experience is half the picture. The same as when you buy the glass phone. It's half of the pleasure, my new glass phone. You open it up and it's like, whoa, it's just looking at you and you take it out. But it's not special anymore. I mean, I think the cake is more special even. And also, the thing is with culinary experiences is that we like to share it. Asian people, Danish people like to have this shared common interest in eating something together. Where in America, it's not the same. It's more of getting full. But mostly when I travel in Asia and when I went here first time, when I talk to new people as well, especially in mainland China, it's like a hard shell, like a lychee, the fruit, this guy here. But when you break into it, it's actually very, very tender and soft and sweet inside. And that is something I also experienced a lot, to just working with people of different areas around the world. So I think the similarities also is, I worked in Italy for many years and have a great design studio in Padova. And it was the same like 15 years ago, coming to Padova first time, meeting this guy who's standing there and doesn't speak a word English, of course, and I don't speak Italian. So that was like, like the elephant and the giraffe. But at the evening I met him. I was home at his family and eating dinner with them, and now we have been partners for 14 years. In the company. So I think this is also the same kind of guanxi, just in Italy. And Asian people, Chinese people and Italian people have a lot in common in that way. The food, the quality of life, the understanding and the love for older people and all these kind of things. And of course also the economical sense. And you're supposed to laugh when I say this. It's not really funny, so we can pass that one. No, but doing this with my guanxi in Italy, I have the pleasure of also working with many different companies. And today I'm dressed very much in a suit, as you can see, even though my speech is play and I should be wearing something crazy like a jumpsuit. But I don't, because it's my own suit, because I have the opportunity to work with a company called Palzelleri and do my own collection of suits. And this is something we do every year at the Salone dei Mobili in Milan, where we launch these special designer suits for designers. And next year is going to be no exception, and it's going to be perfetto. Okay? Perfetto. And I look forward to that. However, when I was younger, I didn't really wear a suit. I had a more like relaxed summer attire, mostly. More unnatural. And I will show you a picture, and you can comment on it. As you can see, my summer attire, at any given point, I'm more fashionable than the rest of the people, right? I mean, look at those people, they don't even have clothes. I mean, and the cow, the violin, the guitar, but it was definitely the season where red socks and very pale skin, and red underwear was in. So now to explain you a little bit about my background, because I think I owe you that before we round up, is actually that I grew up in a hippie camp in Denmark. And to give you explanation of it, it was a very free life. So I didn't really go to school. I kind of jumped over the most of the school life and only went first, second, and third degree of school. So that's really what I came to. And the rest of the time, I already had a really terrible attitude at that time, as you can see. It was quite a different life. But the positive thing about being a hippie child is actually, it's nice, isn't it? I mean, it looks like Africa sometimes, but it isn't, I can guarantee you. The positive thing is that you have a really free approach to people. So I don't really see boundaries in people, I see opportunities. And I see more into the heart and into the eyes of the people than I don't really have like this kind of, do I trust you? Because if I don't trust you, I wouldn't work with you, I wouldn't be talking to you. It's quite simple. And I think this is also the way that my company today is working, in the same way. Because, my childhood was pretty much one of hippies and cows and free-range chickens, if you know what I mean. So now I have the opportunity to work with Bang & Olufsen. I have the pleasure of having 3 big design companies and 2 record companies, and kind of really feel the pleasure of working everywhere in the world. And that's why also that we have different offices around the world. And we actually have most of the people from the offices here today as well. If you want to have a chat with them, they're somewhere down here. But I counted up to find out how many nationalities do we actually have in our companies. And that is actually 19 working in these companies. And that is pretty amazing because the ideas you get from these 19 people and the different cultures is really something that makes the difference when you do design and in a globalized world. And when you think in a holistic way, as we do, it makes even more sense to do this. So if you could say something, my studios is definitely the Willy Wonka of designer candy, because no other factory in the world makes the chocolate by waterfall. It's Willy Wonka, right? And no other design studio mixes low-technology LED screens, fire and waterfall imagery to create feng shui. Right? Did I say it right? Feng shui? Good, nice. So the secret to this is really, if it feels like work, you're doing it wrong. Does it feel like work? Does it feel like work? No, it doesn't. And that's exactly the key to it. So by that, I tell you, thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have any questions, you can just bring them on.